The bitter, icy wind of 1945 crawled through the collapsing cities of Germany, carrying a haunting silence through streets covered in ash and shadows of buildings that once stood proud. Everywhere the dying breath of war lingered like a ghost refusing to leave. In these final, brutal months, a story was taking shape, a story few have ever heard. It was the story of a German woman sniper known to the enemy as the Phantom Woman of East Prussia, and whispered within the German ranks as the Ghost Sharpshooter. Her name was Klara Weiss, only 23, quiet, with eyes holding a cold, unsettling depth. She was never a soldier of ideology, never a servant of the Nazi flag, never driven by hatred. She was simply a young woman raised in a remote mountain village, where her father had once taught her how to hunt. No one in her village could ever have imagined that the calm breath she learned to control, the steady hands, the flawless aim would one day become a deadly force in one of history's most brutal wars. When the war began, Klara prayed it would never reach her home. But by 1944, her village crumbled under waves of bombings. Her family was scattered, and a single slip of paper sealed her fake conscription into the army. At first, they placed her in an auxiliary unit. Male soldiers laughed when they saw her. A girl? They muttered. If she can even lift a rifle, it'll be a miracle. But during evening target practice, Klara hit 3 distant targets in less than 10 seconds. The laughter died instantly. Her commander noticed something dangerous in her eyes. Precision, calm, and a ruthless steadiness. Within weeks she was transferred into a special sniper group. The officers tried to dress her in the polished black SS uniform for propaganda, but she refused every attempt. She wore the faded green field tunic she was issued on her first day. For Klara, this war had nothing to do with flags, ideologies, or leaders. It was simply a fight to survive. Her first real taste of combat came on the Eastern Front. Frozen fields stretched endlessly. Broken barns and burnt forests stood like charred bones, and the thunder of artillery shook the skies. One fog-filled night, as she lay hidden in a ruined farmhouse, she spotted movement across the snowy field. Soviet scouts. Her heartbeat quickened, fingers tightening on the trigger. She heard her father's calm voice echo in her memory. One shot, one responsibility. She exhaled slowly and fired. The first scout fell. The others scrambled for cover. In that moment, Klara realized something she had never wanted to accept. She was terrifyingly good at this. Over the next few months, her name began to spread. Soviet soldiers whispered about a German woman who appeared and disappeared like smoke. German officers tried to push her into propaganda, but she rejected every medal, every camera, every attempt to turn her into a symbol. "I am no hero," she always said. "I am only trying to survive." By 1945, when Soviet forces crushed German cities one after another, Klara received a desperate assignment: defend an old cathedral. It was practically a suicide mission. The city was falling apart. Ammunition was low. And beneath the cathedral lay a hidden chamber filled with civilians, elderly people, mothers, children, and newborns. If Klara abandoned her position, they would all be captured. So she stayed. She climbed into the shattered bell tower, where cold wind tore across her face. For 2 days, she fought off enemy soldiers, firing only when necessary, buying precious minutes for the civilians below. She didn't shoot out of hatred or revenge. She fought only to protect those who had no way to protect themselves. On the 3rd day, an enemy sniper finally spotted her. A bullet smashed into the stone beside her cheek, ringing through the tower like a warning. She was trapped. Soviet soldiers surrounded the cathedral. The tower had no place to hide. Yet Klara did not aim back at the sniper. Instead, she aimed at the thick rope holding the massive cathedral bell. A sharp crack echoed across the battlefield. The bell plummeted downward, crashing against the stone floor and sending a thunderous signal through the hidden chamber. It was the sign the civilians had been waiting for. They rushed into the escape tunnel and fled moments before part of the passage collapsed. When Soviet soldiers stormed into the cathedral, they found her rifle leaning against a broken wall in the bell tower. Her torn coat lay beside it, but Klara Weiss was gone. No one knows what happened to her after that day. Some believe she escaped into the forests, wounded but alive. Others claim she was captured and spent years in a hidden prison camp. A few Soviet officers later swore they saw a lone woman limping across a snow-covered field, clutching her side as she disappeared into the trees. No official record of Klara Weiss survived. Documents were destroyed, files were sealed, and her name faded from the official pages of history. But her story, the story of a young woman who fought not out of loyalty to a regime, but to save innocent lives, still survives like a small flame glowing in the darkest hours of war.